Welcome to Camilla Singh Show. And this show is your show. If you want to come sit here and talk about issues, we are open for everyone, each and everyone. If you have issue to come and talk about, debate about, educate the community about, this is the show for you. And as you know, today, the day of the recording of this show, today is the National Day of Prayer for the 215 kids that were killed in Kamloops. So we are here to observe a minute of silence because today is that day. By the time you'll see the show goes on the air, that will be another day. But when the recording is done today, today is that day. So maybe what we should do is take a minute of silence and pray for those departed souls that never went back to their parents. So we will stop. I will stop right here. Okay. And you can do this every day, wherever, standing, sitting, however you want to do. So I have invited Alana Henderson. She's elder in our community, and she is here to talk about the missing and murdered children and give you a little bit history about what we, immigrants that came to this country, should be knowing it, but we don't, because I did not go through the school system here. But the kids, even they are going, my kids that are going through the school system, they are not taught Native history. They are not taught talk about the genocide. They are not taught about how the children were snatched from their parents and taken to the residential school in the name of education. All those nobody knows. So welcome, my sister, my elder. Thank you for letting me put my feet and welcome on this land. Thank you. And talk a little bit about you.
Gaela Kasla Camilla Hase, which means I love you.
Thank you.
From my heart.
And we love you, all of us. We love you.
And we're here. I'm new to Surrey, so I want to acknowledge the unceded ancestral territory of the Semiahmoo, the Katzie, the Kwantlen, the Kaikite. This was their land.
Yep.
And unceded means it's never been bought.
It's a stolen land.
It's stolen, like everything else, like our children were stolen. So I'm born in a small place on Vancouver Island, north of Nanaimo, called Campbell River.
Okay.
And I grew up on an Indian reserve there. I grew up there my entire young life until I finished school. So Campbell River is, in our language, our village is known as Awa, which means proud people. Our nation is called the Lakwatoch Nation, which means the people of the beautiful rapids. And my traditional ancestral name, which I was given from our father, who is a hereditary chief. And hereditary, Camilla, means born into what I'm wearing today. So I am a hereditary princess.
Yes.
And the traditional ancestral name he chose for me is Quinn Kwa Hyolasame, which means treasured thunder. And my late father was an Indian residential school survivor until he passed away May 25th, 2017. So it's pretty sensitive right now, besides this, what's just happened this past Friday. So his traditional ancestral name was Quinquilas, which means the sound of thunder. And what you would call a last name, but we didn't do that.
Yeah.
His traditional name is Quinquilas, the sound of thunder, and Quaxistala, which means smoke all around the world. So as a hereditary chief, he doesn't keep his wealth. He disperses it at these gatherings, and these gatherings have been called potlatch, but that's Chinook jargon. In my territory, that we call them batha, which means giving, sharing his wealth with all that he invites to these gatherings. And so my father was hereditary. My mother was also a hereditary princess from Tsawadi. Denachtoch, very famous. Our area is very famous by Curtis, E.H. Curtis and Franz Boas. Our culture is so strong, so powerful, and that's why I happen to retain it, because my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, even though they were a residential school survivors, they were strong. And what made them strong, Camilla, love. So getting back to my mother, her English name was Elizabeth Glendale. And then my father's English name is George. They couldn't pronounce or spell. We don't have a alphabet.
Yes.
So they put us to Quaxsister. So George Quaxsister, but it's really Quinquilas Quaxistala. So my English name again is Alana Anderson, and I'm Anderson now because I married a Anishinaabe man, which formerly was Ojibwe from Canada and the United States. That's the name that they were assigned, but they are called Anishinaabe. And so he's from Lac Seul First Nation. And myself, I moved to Surrey in 1986, him and I, with our two children. And both our children graduated from Queen Elizabeth Secondary here in Surrey. One in 1998. She now, Camilla, and I'm very proud to say, she is a school teacher.
Wow.
In the Surrey School District.
Excellent, excellent.
And our youngest one, she graduated the Millennium 2000. She started in the Surrey School District as a child and youth counselor, working for the Aboriginal Learning. And then she's moved on to the Aboriginal Ministry for Family and Children Development. So she works there now. And is doing wonderful. But that's education that we were given, the proper education.
Yes.
We're here because what happened, this cultural genocide, and I'm here to tell the truth because nobody has been charged.
Yes.
And it just didn't happen 150, 75 years ago. It happened till 1984 here in British Columbia. It happened in Saskatchewan in 1996. So here in British Columbia, Camilla, they're 36-ish.
Yes.
Saskatchewan, they're 25-ish.
Yeah.
But they just added another school in, I believe, the Labrador and the Territories, Iqaluit. And that's 1998. So those young ones are 22-ish. And then to Kamloops, to Schwetmek, those ones, the late 1970s. So, but began in 1890. So those young ones are not going to leave there to be successful like myself and my daughters and my husband.
Yeah.
They have no education.
Yeah.
They were too busy working. The children worked constantly all day in these Indian residential schools. And when they weren't working, they were practicing the religions that were in charge of these schools.
So these are the Catholic schools.
They were run by the Catholic, the
Yeah.
federal government,
Yeah.
the Crown. There were many. There was the Catholic, the United, the Presbyterian, the Methodist, many, Anglican,
Yeah.
many
So-
of them. And these little ones, I'm here because we need to get the truth out.
Of course, and that's why I called you here today.
And I'm honored.
Yeah, because I think we hear whatever government is telling us something else, and we know how much truth the government is telling everybody. But we are with you. Once 215 bodies were found, and the youngest one being 3 years old, and I think you all are parents, they are mothers, grandmothers, and all that, and you can understand. And I think we all, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be woman to understand, the fathers, that when somebody comes to your house, snatch your baby away, 3 years old, hardly can talk, maybe just learning how to walk, and then that person, that baby is gone, right?
Yeah.
So we are here and we stand with you. And you just show us
And
how
we're-
could we,
we're very heartfelt.
and how can we be able to support you in
we
your
have
struggle.
To, we have to keep this going.
Yes, this dialogue
And-
has to be not gonna stop,
Yeah.
and it has to keep on going.
This is
And recently, I think yesterday or day before, there was a motorcycle ride from Kamloops to BC or Vancouver, and they want to make that an annual event. So whatever happened will not be forgotten. Our children, their children, will know the genocide of the First Nations children and why these things started.
we're very honored for
Yes.
all the help and support we're getting.
Yeah.
When I seen that, it made my heart a bit better.
Yes,
It's not never going to be better.
I know.
It's impossible
Yeah.
for what happened.
So very quickly, Alana, can you maybe those people who have never heard what we are talking about, why we are here? I want you to just go very briefly and tell us how many bodies were found. And this is just from one residential school. And how many residential schools are even BC? And every residential school, the children were put in the residential school. So there is a lot of work need to be done.
There's no exact numbers
Okay.
until the truth comes out
Of
from
course.
the federal government and the Crown.
Yeah.
The federal government worked under the Crown and still does.
And residential school were all over Canada. We're not talking
And-
about just
and
only
the
BC.
territories.
And territories, yeah.
And this just didn't happen for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It was well over close to 200 years. But we're talking, that's what the government is saying and the churches. We know it happened once contact began. And what happens is, Camilla, it's greed.
Yes.
It's greed that started this. Greed for resources that you can't eat gold.
Yeah.
You can't eat silver.
No,
You can't eat Mother Earth.
no.
You can't eat everything, all these resources that they wanted. And right away, within not even a 200 years, Camilla, they almost wiped out all the animals from Alberta to the Atlantic coast. And then they stomped into BC.
Yeah.
They moved over the Rocky Mountains. That was the difficult part. So we were very civilized. We were all across the country and the territories. We had our own big, huge nations. And we lived off of what we were given. Our Mother Earth, she gives us everything. Our trees, our medicines, our berries, our plants that we eat, everything. And we had that. And then we have our forest gardens. We have the animals that help us keep warm, that feed us.
Yeah.
We have the oceans that are full of the swimmers that help us, sustain us.
Yep.
We have all the birds, everything. So, again, we're getting back to the truth. It's
Yeah.
greed.
Yeah.
But it's also, Camilla, fear.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown. But we're very loving, peaceful people.
Of course.
We have not fought back. We are the fastest growing population in Canada.
Yeah.
We're the only ones having
The number of babies.
children,
Yeah.
lots of children.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we always have been.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because you know what, Camilla? Our children are our treasures.
Yeah.
They're our gifts from the Creator.
Yep.
Our children's come to us through love.
Yep.
Love of our parents.
Yeah.
Loving one another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so sad that no one wants to even talk about that either.
Yeah.
Love is so beautiful. Love is so precious. Love is so sacred. And that's how we became. And that's how those little children,
Yeah.
those 215 little children, that it's a criminal site.
Yep.
It's a criminal site, and it has to be acknowledged as that. And I want to see that the federal government and the RCMP have had enough time,
Yes.
and the Crown,
Yeah.
to do this work.
Yeah.
And they're not honest, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see outsiders come in and help our nations
Yes.
and find these bodies, because I've seen W5 in parts where they say there's bodies.
Yeah.
The RCMP went through. No, there's none.
No.
I don't trust the RCMP. They're the ones that took our children away.
Mm.
They knew about this and did nothing.
Yeah.
They're supposed to prevent crime from murders, all that. And they knew this is 2021 and the last school closed in 1998
Yeah.
in Canada.
Yeah.
The 140th school. Did the RCMP do anything? Did the government do anything? The federal government? Did the Crown, the Queen do anything? No. They blind eyes, deaf ears.
Yeah.
So we're tired of being like this. We're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
We're telling the truth. And I'm telling the truth for those little ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be their voice.
Of course. Yeah.
I am their voice. We're going to help them. We're honoring them. And I am so hasa, love to everyone that has honored, come out to support, to help those motorcycle, Southeast Asian.
Yeah.
And the same with the truckers, Southeast Asian, and the Southeast Asians that help us celebrate in Surrey
Yep.
Square, Center Square there. We wouldn't have had nothing. We would still be hidden under the rug. And so that's good.
And I think I put it out to all the community. Okay, South Asians are coming out to be able to support you, be an ally. And there are so many other small communities, large communities that we all need to come out to support each other. This is not just one person's fight. If they can do it for them, time will come when our children or everybody's kids can be taken away. So just what is justice? That's what we are here. To make sure that parents that lost their kids, justice be served for them.
Those poor little babies, the truth.
Yeah, become.
They were ripped from their loving mother's arms.
Yeah.
They were ripped, crying, screaming. They didn't know. They didn't know the French language or the English language. The government and Crown made sure they were taken far, far away from their homes.
Yeah.
So they had nobody to communicate with to keep their languages.
Yeah. And nobody, kids didn't know who to phone.
And
there were no cell phones. And wherever they're taken, parents will be just waiting every day to hear something. They never did. Okay, Alana, maybe I'm looking at the clock and maybe we are running out of time. But what is the message that you want to give it to the community? How do you expect these people that are watching you to support you in your struggle?
Well, I want them to learn the truth. And I said it was greed and racism, but it's also, Camilla, everyone out there listening and watching, it's evil to kill those little children and secretly bury them and not even have to tell their parents and let them know and to say, oh, they ran away or this happened or whatnot. They never said anything. They were closed mouths. And yes, the churches keep records.
Yeah.
They do. They keep records of births. They keep records of deaths.
Yeah.
So right now, they need to own that.
Yeah.
And more importantly, Justin Trudeau needs to own it. He's not done enough. And that's why I did not vote for him.
Yeah.
My husband is a total liberal, but I did not. I voted for Jagmeet Singh because I want change. And I can see and I can feel and I can sense the support, the help, the love.
Yeah.
And I can sense when someone isn't honest.
Yeah.
He's been in, this is his second term.
Yeah.
He had from the get-go to do something.
Yeah.
And just as his father, he didn't do anything. Had that site not been put into the media, nothing would be done.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. But thanks to the internet and the media and all that, and the help and the support from the Southeast Asian community, we're finally having our voices heard. We're finally being seen. I always say, Camilla, we're the invisible nations.
Yeah.
The three huge groups. Us Indians, us Inuit, us Métis, the brothers and sisters that were, the mother was Cree, marrying with a Frenchman, or Inuit with a Frenchman. That's what Métis is. Métis means mixed blood. That's where that language comes from. And then these labels were given. We don't keep changing that.
Yeah.
The federal government even controls our name labels, Camilla. They control absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I would love to see, Camilla, the hereditary chief, speak.
Yeah.
Because I am hereditary, and I know that is our traditional ways, our traditional culture. So I would like to see the hereditary chief of the Kamloops
One day,
speak.
yeah, one day, if it's possible in future, we will bring the hereditary chief in here to speak to all of you. And June 21st is the Aboriginal Day, and there will be a lot of events going to be planned on that day. I want all of you that are watching, plan to attend that. Plan to sign a petition if you have to. Find out about Aboriginal history and support the Aboriginal community. And one community you are supporting not that. You are supporting yourself. You are supporting what's honest, what fair, and what should be. So with that, we are running out of time. See you next week.
I'd like to say one more thing, Camilla, is on the summer solstice, June 21st, we celebrate National Indigenous Day.
Okay.
And also the whole month of June now is National Indigenous Month.
Okay.
Finally honoring and again, let's learn more together.
Yeah. Let's come together and celebrate and learn, because there's a lot of things are happening, especially with all these things about the residential school.
Oh, and I have something for your South Asian community because of the support. My husband is gifting this to the South Asian community, and this is Hummingbird. Hummingbird is love and swiftness, and Hummingbird on the drum bag.
Oh my!
So my husband makes these. He's very, very. He's a master drum maker.
I am so honored. I'm so.
Well, that's for supporting and helping us.
I don't know.
It really
I'm just
means
one
a lot.
member. I'm just one member, but I will find out and give it to the person that do deserve to have this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. Keep it in the station,
something
or
like that.
wherever. Like.
Thank
But
you,
it's
my
for
darling.
everybody.
Okay.
Love you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Husband is a total liberal, but I did not. I voted for Jagmeet Singh because I want change. And I can see and I can feel and I can sense the support, the help, the love.
Yeah.
And I can sense when someone isn't honest.
Yeah.
He's been in, this is his second term.
Yeah.
He had from the get-go to do something.
Yeah.
And just as his father, he didn't do anything. Had that site not been put into the media, nothing would be done.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. But to the internet and the media and all that, and the help and the support from the Southeast Asian community, we're finally having our voices heard. We're finally being seen. I always say, Camilla, we're the invisible nations.
Yeah.
The three huge groups. Us Indians, us Inuit, us Métis, the brothers and sisters that were, the mother was Cree, marrying with a Frenchman, or Inuit with a Frenchman. That's what Métis is. Métis means mixed blood. That's where that language comes from. And then these labels were given. We don't keep changing that.
Yeah.
The federal government even controls our name labels, Camilla. They control absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I would love to see, Camilla, the hereditary chief, speak.
Yeah.
Because I am hereditary, and I know that is our traditional ways, our traditional culture. So I would like to see the hereditary chief of the Kamloops
One day,
speak.
yeah, one day, if it's possible in future, we will bring the hereditary chief in here to speak to all of you. And June 21st is the Aboriginal Day, and there will be a lot of events going to be planned on that day. I want all of you that are watching, plan to attend that. Plan to sign a petition if you have to. Find out about Aboriginal history and support the Aboriginal community. And one community you are supporting not that, you are supporting yourself, you are supporting what's honest, what fair, and what should be. So with that, we are running out of time. See you next week.
I'd like to say one more thing, Camilla, is on the summer solstice, June 21st, we celebrate National Indigenous Day.
Okay.
And also the whole month of June.